What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Mavic Air, not the Mavic Mini, not the most recently released Mavic Air 2, but the Mavic Air. Guys, Ricky Chang here. Welcome back to the channel once again. Today we're going to be talking about the Mavic Air. So a couple of weeks ago I was looking for a drone for myself and came across quite a few options. I wanted to kind of stick with DJI just because I know their quality for both image as well as build and things like that. For me, the most important thing in finding a drone is something that's compact and I can just whip it out, use it, get the footage I need, put it back in the bag, and I'm ready to go. As of this video, there's quite a few options. There's the Mavic Mini, there's the Mavic Air, and now the most recently released Mavic Air 2. I decided to kind of go with the Mavic Air for specific reasons. Because I shoot both photo and video, the Mavic Air made a clear winner and a clear choice for me. The Mavic Mini does not shoot raw images. It does have a quality camera. It has increased flight time. It's a little bit more compact. I get all those things, but it didn't shoot 4K and it was limited in terms of bit rate. Now the Mavic Air, released 2 years ago or so, shoots at 100 megabits per second, which is really great for a decent image. It's not the best, obviously, compared to the Mavic Air 2, which shoots at, I believe, at 120 megabits per second, which, you know, is very helpful. Another cool feature about the Air, as well as the new released Air 2, is the fact that it shoots Cine-like profile. Now what that is it allows you to shoot a very flat profile, which visually you can edit and color grade to match the rest of your footage, let's just say from another camera. So if you're serious about editing footage, color grading, and using it in a more professional production environment, it's definitely something to look into. To me, the most important thing when finding a drone to use for everyday use to get footage, whether it's for the channel or whether it's for clips of a short film, I need compact portability. I mean, look at the size of this package. I mean, you know, I know that again, as of this video, the Mavic Air 2 has been released, but it is nowhere near this size. It's small compared to, say, the Mavic Pro 2, but it is nowhere near as small as the Mavic Air. So if you guys are considering as far as size, the Mavic Air still triumphs. I think it's obviously not as small as the Mavic Mini, which is not that much smaller than this, but this does again offer 4K, and it does offer raw images in terms of photos. Typically, I'm a run and gun. So I know the Mavic Mini offered a good image, longer flight times. It was more compact, and it didn't offer 24 frames per second at the time of purchase. Now I know DJI has released a firmware update which offers manual controls and also 24 frames a second, which, yeah, but also what the Mavic Air offers is the ability to shoot raw photos in terms of DNG files. Now I highly recommend, if you guys are picking up either a Mavic Mini or even this guy, definitely go for the Flymore Kit. It offers 3 batteries, the whole charger situation, the multi-battery pack charger, and it's got a lot of features that are definitely worth going for the Flymore. I purchased this with the Flymore Kit because I knew that the battery life was not as good. On average, I would say I would get 15 to 17 minutes of actual flight time. So it's pretty decent. So my strategy in terms of filming and creating shots is I use my first battery, I go scouting for the shots that I'm looking for, and then I use the remaining 2 batteries to actually shoot the footage. So kind of a tip there if you guys are shooting something. And again, Mavic Air, the reason why I picked the Mavic Air was also because, again, I am a still shooter as well, and this thing does shoot raw images. I think the quality is decent. You can't expect an image from, let's just say, you know, a 5D or an EOS R. It's not a full frame sensor. It's a super tiny, I mean it's a super tiny lens. You can't really expect to get amazing image quality from a sensor that small. So, you know, really something to consider, but it does offer you a little bit of leeway and adjustment in terms of the raw file. So I know in terms of picture quality, the new Mavic Air 2 that was recently released a few days ago, actually I think it was like last week or so, it says it claims it shoots 48 megapixel images. I'm sure with the slightly larger sensor of 1/2 inch sensor, it's going to be a better image, but still it's not going to be, you know, an image from a 5D or an EOS R or something like that. So just kind of expect that. It's not going to be that kind of image, but it is probably going to be slightly better. But for social media or just internet use, I think the image or the raw file from the Mavic Air is totally usable. The Mavic Air 2, I think it claims something over 35 minutes of flight time. That is absolutely incredible. On one battery, I think that's really amazing. I haven't really needed to flown that long for that extended period of time, but I'm sure it's useful for some people. One of the biggest fallbacks that people have been complaining about the Mavic Air is obviously the Wi-Fi transmission, what they call the extended Wi-Fi transmission range. Now, for me, I have experienced those issues. You know, my first flight with high tree lines and just a lot of Wi-Fi interference, I got somewhere between 1,600 feet, which is not even close to the claimed 2 miles or 2.5 miles of range. But when I get out into the open, I was at a state park the other day, and I got some of this footage right here. And I think the footage actually looks amazing, but more importantly, the Wi-Fi range was not all that bad. I was able to go somewhere around 3,600 feet, which, to be honest, for a small, no, let me flip this thing open for you. And to be honest, to fly a drone this small at 3,600 feet away, or even 4,000 feet away, which I've successfully been able to do with no Wi-Fi issues, it's way out of line of sight. Now, if you guys are in the States and you're following the FFA regulations, you need to fly within line of sight. So at 4,000 feet away from where you are controlling this little guy, you can't see a drone this small. It is not visible to the naked eye. You are way past that range. So these advertised claims of being able to fly 6 miles or whatever the case may be, it's great. You're going to get a solid transmission, but you really can't be flying that far in most places. So something to think about. I don't really, for me personally, I don't fly that far to get the footage I need. There's a lot of scouting, there's a lot of planning, and being able to get the right shot, it just doesn't require me to fly that far. Another thing that really kind of geared me towards the Mavic Air versus the Mavic Mini was its weight. Now, I know that obviously that's the selling point for the Mavic Mini, but in terms of high wind, which is very typical, so where you are taking off, and if you guys are flying up, you have to kind of estimate that the wind levels are going to be a lot greater when you're higher up in altitude. So with this guy, with its more powerful motors than the Mavic Mini, it was able to fight strong winds. Being able to return home flying against the wind, maxing out in sports mode at like 40 miles an hour is a really huge benefit. The Mavic Mini, I think, maxes out at 30 in sports mode, which is nice, but again, the drone is so light. If you guys are flying in super high wind areas, you know, that's something you guys have to consider. And for me, the Mavic Air offers good quality. It's not the best quality. If you guys want best image video quality, get a Phantom 4 Pro 2. If you want decent quality up in the air, this thing for I think $800 or so is a very good buy. Now again, I got $800 with the Flymore Kit, so something to consider when you're buying the Mavic Air 2, which is flat out $800 for just the drone, one battery. Now again, I totally recommend the Flymore Kit for any drone that you buy because you'll be flying more than you think. I still think in 2020 that the Mavic Air Original is still worth purchasing today. And you know, if you guys have some questions about the Mavic Air, if you guys are looking into the Mavic Mini, the Mavic Air, the Mavic Air 2, leave me a comment down below. I have a little bit of experience with this guy now, and I can definitely shed some light. Thanks a lot, guys. If you find this video helpful in making your choice to purchase a Mavic Mini, Mavic Air, Mavic Air 2, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.